My name is Bob Mulligan, and welcome to the third edition of the Get to Know Coach series. The first two editions have been absolutely fantastic. Um, we got some great responses, some really nice messages, and lots of likes on social media. I got a couple of nice text messages, and I obviously done a better job last week with my accent because I got no abuse from my friends back home. With me, as always, is our editor, producer, Miss Tori Burnett.
Hello.
And with us is our special guest. She is a lover of making field schedules, making game schedules, basically all the schedules you want, you send them her way. In staff games, she is known as our Bona Mati. Is that right? The one, the only, Miss Mandy Pochobradsky. Yay!
Is that harder to say than Bon Mati?
Yeah, well, I tried my best.
No, you did well, Bob.
So, Mandy, how are you today?
I'm splendid. How are you?
Splendid. Mandy's always splendid. That's what we like about her. So, ladies, weather is starting to change. It's starting to feel like summer. Any nice plans coming up for the weekend?
Hopefully mountain biking and trail running.
Mandy, always exercise, and that's her idea of fun, people. I could think of nothing worse. However, that's what makes Mandy happy.
I think
so
that
anything more fun?
is it eating vegetables? Is that more fun?
Okay, to be fair, I just watched a documentary. It's called Ice on Fire, and it's talking about climate disruption. So I've had all vegetarian and vegan salads this week so far.
Of course.
I don't know where to go from there. So let's just begin. We're going to start this interview off like we started them all. Mandy, what is your first soccer memory?
The first thing I really remember is that my team was wearing pink. I played for a YMCA team when I first started, and I absolutely detested it. Like, it was the worst thing that I've ever known. And I told my mom, like, I can't wear pink. I won't wear pink. And it wasn't so much soccer. It was just I hated pink.
So nothing's changed then from there?
No, not really.
So where did you start playing soccer?
I played for, the YMCA was a rec, essentially, in my area. I didn't start playing club until I was probably about 8 or 9. I don't really remember. One of the girls I knew, her dad asked me to come and try out for Heartland Soccer Club in Cedar Rapids, and that's who I played for the rest of my time growing up.
What state is Cedar Rapids in?
Iowa. State down south.
I'm sorry.
How long have you lived here, Bob?
I don't think so. No, I'm not sure if I have been to Iowa or not. So
You've never been to Iowa?
I don't think so. No, but I will make sure I'll put it on the bucket list to make sure I check it off.
Don't go to Cedar Rapids. Just go to Des Moines.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the start? So you started playing about 8 or 9, and we know you now, Mandy, as a very creative midfield player. Was that always your shtick, or did you sort of move around, or where did you like playing?
My favorite place to play was the 6. I liked having the ball. I love passing the ball. It's the thing that I get most excited about. But no, I started out as a winger. I was actually pretty speedy and agile, which might surprise you guys, when I was younger. But as I kind of got older, I started to lose some of that, and it was just more so learning to be more intelligent with my movement versus how quickly I can move. So playing centrally is something I've always enjoyed. And then I actually stopped playing soccer when I went to college. I quit, and then I didn't start playing again until I was 26. And then at that point, I played as an outside back.
So before you quit, before you went to college, what does it look like from, that sort of 12 years old till you're 18 years old? How did your soccer career develop from there?
I played for Heartland. I played for my own team. I guess played with teams both on the girls and boys side. I guess played with my brother's team a lot. And then the team I guess played with was 2 years older for the most part. And I played ODP. They actually stopped carrying a team for my birth year for ODP in Iowa after the 2 years that I played for them. And then I got to the point where I wanted to go and play college soccer, and I didn't get offered a scholarship. So I quit playing instead of trying to work through it.
So you mentioned they're playing with boys. So, I mean, it's no surprise to me because you still play with boys, and you still kind of kick your butt a little bit. What was that like at that young age? Maybe not just the actual physicality and the technical, but the mental side of it too. As a young girl going in and just probably making a few boys and making them look bad.
That was actually probably one of the things I remember most. I played with my brother's team when they were U17, so all the boys were 17. I was 15, and I remember scoring off of a corner, and like all the guys on the team I played with always had my back, which was probably one of like the biggest confidence boosters probably for me. But like just kind of seeing the reaction of the guys coach and the guys team, like when you come onto the field, is like they don't think you're going to be anything. They don't care. Like they think that it's just a less player on a field, and like to be able to stand up there and like show them otherwise, like there's nothing more satisfying than kind of putting it right back in their face.
Oh, I love that. You're still doing it today, so not much has changed. So you mentioned you playing on your brother's team. When I was growing up, my brother was a year younger than me, and it kind of went every 2 years. So I played a lot with my brother, and every time we won a trophy or something, it always meant a little bit more because both my parents and my other younger brother were there watching. Was that the same for you?
Yeah, I actually had an interesting experience with my parents. When I was about 12, my mom was a very vocal parent on the sideline. Like she would coach me instead of just support me. And so I remember when I turned in the middle of the game, the ball's like right by me, and I turned to my mom and I'm like, "Mom, shut up." From that point forward, all I got was positive encouragement from her, no coaching, anything like that. Definitely wish I could have handled that in a different way. Looking back, that was hard for my mom, but at the same time, I think it was something that I needed for me, because it's so conflicting as a player sometimes to have double messages. And so by the time that I got to then, it was a really good experience to be able to have my parents both in a positive aspect cheering for both my brother and myself.
So obviously, you stopped playing whenever you were 20 or whatever, and you started back up when you were 26. Was that whenever you were in California, or before or after that?
So quitting soccer was one of the biggest regrets that I've had in my life, because I did give up on it. And so I worked with kids for quite some time after I graduated from college. I ended up going into Peace Corps. And then coming back from Peace Corps, I kind of made the decision, like, I have to give this one last chance. So I ended up quitting my full-time job and moved to Des Moines and got to play that summer for the WPSL team at the time, which was the Des Moines Menace.
How was that, coming from basically not playing? So how long were you off playing for? Was that 6 years?
8. I was 17 when I graduated, so 9 years.
Now, obviously, we know how fit you are because you enjoy mountain climbing and stuff. What was it like coming back in and trying to get back in match shape, and then also trying to get in match sharpness as well, mentally and physically?
Going in was easier than being in it. Going in, I just wanted to experience it one more time. I didn't know my last game was going to be my last game, which is true, I'm sure, for a lot of players. But that was really, really hard because I thought I had 4 more years that I was at least going to play competitively. And so thankfully at the time, like, I coached for a high school, and one of my biggest mentors and biggest influences for me as a coach was the guy that was the head of the program at the high school I worked for. So he actually let me kind of just join in every training session, which really helped as far as just like fitness aspects. I also did CrossFit, which at the time was the big fad. But from there, like going into training and stuff, I just wanted to play more than anything else. I wasn't trying to win a starting job or anything like that. I just wanted to experience like being in a competitive environment one more time and kind of see if I even had what it took to be around some of those players.
So one thing, Mandy, if anybody knows you, you've a slight fascination with Stanford soccer. I've been to Stanford, and I remember walking around and I was just in awe. It's a beautiful school. The athletics are top class. What was it that really drew you to Stanford?
Their playing style, hands down. It's nice because I lived like 10 minutes away from their campus. So it was just a short drive down El Camino, which is a massive road in California, at least the northern part. And I had reached out to Paul, and he responded and kind of said like, hey, I'm happy to have you come out to training. Like, you can watch as much as you want, take notes, whatever you want. So he basically made it an open training invite, and coming from that level of a program, but how much success he's had with that program as well. And then kind of just opening that door. And then he met up with me several times and kind of just answered any questions that I had. I mean, it was a pretty cool experience, just getting to know him, his philosophies, kind of how he gets buy-in from the team, his thoughts on playing style and why he recruits certain players, why he believes it's beneficial to his program. But more than anything, it's just the playing style that speaks for itself.
So as well as Stanford, you're like me, you really enjoy a European style of soccer. So for me, obviously growing up, it was very easy to watch European soccer. I could literally put any channel on the TV and I could watch it. I'm assuming growing up in Iowa and moving to California, it wasn't that easy to watch it on TV. So how did you sort of stumble across it, and how were you able to maintain that sort of level of watching it?
Well, growing up, Landon Donovan played for Everton for a short spell, so that made it a little kind of.
Who's your favorite soccer team, Mandy?
Who's my favorite soccer team? Are you talking club or professionally? Internationally.
We're talking club that I completely disagree with that you just mentioned.
Well, okay, if you're talking Premier League, Everton, because again, it was the opportunity to watch more than anything else. But if you're thinking about the whole world, FC Barcelona.
Okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, no, Donovan played for Everton for a short spell, and obviously Tim Howard went over there as well, which, you know, growing up, how can you not look up to your national team, your country's national team? I know I definitely speak differently now, but at the same time, growing up, you want to play for the Stars and Stripes, or, well, maybe Bob wants to as well, but
take anything.
You know, you idolize those players, and so getting the opportunity to watch them in a different capacity was something that I started doing. My friend also grew up watching Manchester United because her dad was a massive, massive fan. So I know that makes you happy.
That does. You should have listened to her a little bit more. So one thing so last year I started coaching girls for the very first time, and I leaned very heavily on yourself and Tori for basically knowledge of how to coach them and how to relate to them. One thing you really opened my eyes up to was ladies soccer in Europe, and some of the Dutch, Spanish, and people are going to hate me for saying this because I'm Northern Irish. I think the England ladies team is one of my favorite teams. I think Lucy Bronze is a big part of that. When did you first start realizing our European ladies soccer is probably the one to be watching?
I think the biggest thing for me is the development side of things, the transformation that you've been seeing. So even though the U.S. blew out Japan in the 2015 World Cup, you start to kind of see a change. I mean, you go back to 2011, the U.S. struggled. You look at some of the younger World Cups, like the under 20s and stuff like that, and the U.S. is really struggling to even get out of group stages if they get out at all. And so like, as you're looking at those younger and younger generations, it's becoming less about the dominant athlete and more about a combination of, yes, athleticism is necessary at the highest levels, but intelligence and your use of space and your ability to manipulate opponents is becoming that much more important. So Japan, I think, they're a very technical side. They've always been incredibly technical. And that technical aspect is sometimes something that neutralizes the U.S. However, Japan still lacked athleticism to the extent where they could compete with the likes of Abby Wambach. But as you're continuing to see the game grow, watching the last World Cup for the women, if you rewatch Spain versus the United States, Spain should have won that game hands down. They completely dominated that game. The U.S. defended for their lives. Luckily, the U.S. got 2 PKs, one which I think should have been called back. I think Rose sold it really well, but Rose is also a very incredible player. But watching the development of youth players in Europe has far surpassed what we are doing here in the U.S. currently.
All right. So when your playing career finished, and actually, before you restarted your playing career, you started coaching.
Hmm.
What was it that drew you to coaching? Rather than getting a typical 9 to 5 job.
Well, part of it, I was going to school, so I was at the University of Iowa. I needed income. I was obviously paying for school at that point, not playing a sport, getting a scholarship or anything. So it was one of the what I thought was easiest decisions, but turns out to be one of the most complicated things, trying to manage young athletes, young people in general. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to stay connected to the game. I missed it. Soccer got me through a lot as a kid. You know, growing up is definitely not easy. I know kids are having an incredibly difficult time right now as well. And the game is something that gets you through those hard times. And it was my way to be able to stay involved without playing.
Perfect. I hope that's why most coaches, got involved in the game. So, Mandy, I've seen you coach for about 2 or 3 years now, and one thing that impresses me so much, and I think you do probably better than most, is the way you connect with your players. How did you develop that, or was it something you watched a coach do before, or something that you've been really focused on developing yourself?
Um, I think a lot of that honestly comes from my work working with kids with social and psychological disorders. That's what I did leading up to Peace Corps and then also Peace Corps. Um, it was an incredibly challenging experience, both jobs, but also one that's very eye-opening and like really teaches you to listen more than anything else. You're not listening to respond, you're listening to simply understand. Um, and as sometimes as much as you want to do or as much as you try to do, like you're never going to be able to do the right thing or enough, and understanding that and just knowing that you're there to listen and sometimes just be that source of support um, is something that makes a massive difference, because I'm not trying to be anything in particular to any one person, but rather maybe it's just somebody needs an outlet one day, maybe somebody needs a pat on the back, maybe somebody needs a kick in the butt. But it really is just listening and getting to know what motivates, what drives the individual as a person, and then you can start looking at what the player needs.
Definitely, and I think all those things you summed up are something that makes you a absolutely fantastic role model for all the young boys and girls, that are in our club. Who were your role models growing up, and so did they help direct you to coaching, or was it something completely different, nothing to do with soccer?
So I was very fortunate growing up. Like when I was growing up, you really didn't have any female coaches. It was all pretty much men. Um, and I had a female coach, Chris Seitz. She was a goalkeeper and everything, but she was a massive impact on me just for the simple fact that you got to see a female. She was hard. You would call her nails essentially. She rode you, but she also was there to support you. I had other coaches as well. Homer Screws was absolutely phenomenal. His daughter played on my team. So I got to know him in a little bit different way. My parents also, they sacrificed a lot for my brother, my sister, and I to be able to play. So like looking at that sacrifice and what they did for us made a massive difference in how I tried to approach things. Um, and then obviously looking up to like the 99ers. So Tori will know that reference. Bob, hopefully you don't, the 99ers.
Oh, I know the
Um,
players.
but just every challenge that they faced, like it didn't matter. They were a unit, they faced it together, and whether they got recognition or not, like they paved the way forward for women in general.
So moving on to Blaine Soccer Club, I'm very glad you're here. When you first started working, I think even now, you not only work with the top team, you work with the middle team, and you work with the bottom team in the age group. And from my point of view, you do a fantastic job managing all three. I remember last year I went to cover the '07 girls a few times at a tournament, and I absolutely loved it. Um, how do you basically how do you do it? How do you manage the first, second, and third team at the same time and do a fantastic job at it?
Well, I appreciate that, but I think really a lot of it goes credit to the players in general. Like there's not one thing that I expect from any player other than for them to give their best. And that's something where I ask them to be uncomfortable and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's an oxymoron in itself. But if you're not risking, if you're not challenging yourself, the comfort zone is where greatness goes to die. And so whatever you define as greatness at that point, maybe that's, hey, I want to hit a 40-yard long ball, or I want to make a certain team, or I just want to have fun. Like, that can mean anything to any kid, but understanding that you can't just remain in your comfort zone is the first thing that I ask them to do. So giving their best, get outside that comfort zone. And then as far as style of play, I ask every team to adopt and play a specific way, and it doesn't change whether you're on a top team, whether you're on that middle team, like you said. The expectation is the same as far as we want to play with the ball on the ground. We want to play with it at our feet. We want to manipulate the opponent to create and dominate space.
So in your time at Blaine Soccer Club, I thought you have made a fantastic impact. You're integral to our coaching staff and our admin staff. What do you think you bring to the club?
Well, minus all the games that have been rescheduled from last summer until now. No, I think, as a collaborative group, that's the most important part. Is there's not one of us that can do every specific thing, and that's what makes Blaine so much stronger, is you bring in different people that can do different roles, and at the end of the day, if something needs to be worked on together, we're there, but also trusting that everybody's going to get their own individual role accomplished and done in a manner that is, appropriate for what we consider to be for Blaine soccer.
Fantastic, Mandy. I think that'll conclude our soccer journey. We're going to finish off with some quick fire questions for a little bit of fun. But Mandy, thank you so much for coming and answering their questions. I think, I speak for Tori and I, and we both say we're so happy to have you as part of the club. Everything you do is so meaningful. And I said it before, I'll say it again, the connection you have with your players is really inspiring, and I'm really proud to have you as a colleague.
Thanks, Bob. You as well.
Right. So,
you too, Tori.
Moving on. Let's get some fun questions in. So now we're going to finish off with some quick fire questions, and then the big question at the end. Mandy will pick her 7v7 team made up of the Blaine Soccer Club coaches. Ready to go, Mandy?
Let's do it.
All right. This is going to be a weird one, I bet you. Your favorite food?
It's really hard. I don't think you understand how much I love food. Probably Mexican.
Oh, I was going to get sushi.
Sushi's up there as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, it depends on the night.
I was definitely gonna guess like a head of lettuce or like something.
I'm not a rabbit.
You usually eat rabbit snacks for sure.
Well, how else do you expect me to run and bike and?
I don't know. Eat like protein or something. What kind of Mexican though? That's not like specific.
Oh, well, that's hard too. I mean,
burrito, a taco.
Okay, if you get like a really, really good Mexican style taco, like it's the little small like street tortillas, and then you get like the carne asada, and it's like legit like onions and like cilantro, and then you get the lime on top.
That's hard. For someone that doesn't like spicy food, that does not sound appealing to me at all.
We don't have to get spicy carne asada.
That sounds very appealing to me because I'm normal. So
moving on, your favorite TV show?
Oh, I don't really watch a ton of TV.
Can you give us a favorite movie?
I can give you a good podcast, binging Crime Junkie right now. It's all about real crimes.
Sounds interesting. Your favorite type of music, or if you want to go into it, your favorite band/singer?
So it'd probably be more like folk. I love like the Lumineers, Mumford and Sons, Hosier. Ed Sheeran's in there too, though.
Bit hipstery, but still good. Have you ever made a TikTok video?
No, I have not. But the 2005 girls are on TikTok as a team.
If I had TikTok, I would watch their videos. Do you plan to join them on a TikTok video sometime in the future?
Not me personally, no.
You're part of that team. I think you have to do a dance at some point.
It's a meet the team thing right now. So we're 2 players in. We have 15 to go.
All right. Well, you're 16. I'll watch it when you're up there for sure.
All right. If you could be an Avenger, which Avenger would you be?
What are the female names? I know them based off like their faces. I think what is it? Who's Scarlett Johansson?
She is Black Widow. Natasha Romanoff.
I definitely got to pick a female.
Wonder Woman.
Oh, she's not an Avenger. She's actually in DC and not
What's
Marvel.
the difference?
I'm really geeking out here. Well, you could be Captain Marvel. She's probably the most powerful Avenger of them all.
I got to stay with Black Widow. Just sounds awesome.
I mean, Romanoff's top 5 out of all the Avengers, so I respect your decision.
Thank you.
So this is kind of a 2-part question. It may change, it may not. Your favorite soccer player growing up and your favorite soccer player now, or just the same one?
Well, Iniesta was always my favorite player as far as like when I was growing up. I guess he's still more recent, or Xavi Hernandez. As far as now, watching Catarina Macario is unlike anything else as far as a female player goes. Like, she is unbelievable. So if you ever get a chance to see her train or watch her in person, like, you need to do it.
You know, do you want to tell listeners a little bit about her? Where's she from? What team she played for?
So she grew up in Brazil. She ended up moving to SoCal, and then is now playing at Stanford. She'll be a senior this coming fall. But you should be able to catch highlights of her on YouTube. Stanford has games on YouTube as well. Or if for some reason you have Pac-12, you can watch the games on the Pac-12 network, which Clara does. So Claire, we got to get on this.
Okay. All right. The big question now.
Oh boy.
Please pick us your 7v7 Blaine Soccer Club coach team.
So the rule was we are automatically included in our 7v7, correct?
If you want to.
You can pick yourself. You still have to pick it though.
I would.
Well, then I don't get to play.
Put yourself.
Okay, so Jake's clear if we have a goalkeeper.
Yep.
Dan. Oh boy.
I think Dan's at the back, right?
Oh, definitely.
She's working back to front.
Yeah. I would honestly put Dan and Charlie Donaghy in the back together.
There.
Okay. Rach would be in the midfield with Avnish.
And yourself?
How many am I at? Yeah, I guess that would be myself.
Put yourself in.
And you in the midfield.
So you've got 2 backs, 3 mid, and you need a striker now.
I'm between 2. You should put this up for a vote.
No.
No, because it's between Diego and Bob.
Mm.
It's Diego. Oh, I didn't play with Diego. I didn't. Oh, okay.
Okay. For consistency's sake, Bob, you're in.
Okay, I'll take that.
Bobby.
It's a solid team. Jake at the back, Charlie and Dan. I mean, they're not going to play any pretty soccer. They're likely to break someone's.
I just need bruisers back there that are going to win the everything up top and then play to our feet.
It's a very creative midfield. I can see a lot of triangles, a lot of transitions, it will give and goes, overlaps until Avnish gets tired. Then it'll just be you and Rich doing all the work. And then hopefully I can score a few goals for you up top. Perfect. Fantastic team. I think we'll definitely have to play that and we eventually get back. So Mandy, before we go, do you have a quote or some advice for the club members during this time?
So I guess recently mountain biking, like for those that have mountain biked before, like you don't want to hit roots, you don't want to hit rocks. They're painful. You got to watch out for trees kind of thing. But the more I focus on those things, the more apt I am to hit them. And so I guess like the biggest thing would be is like you can either focus on the obstacles of the current situation or you can focus on the path that gets you to where you want to go. So whatever you put your energy and focus into is more likely going to be the result and the outcome. So mountain biking for me, if I focus on the tree, I'm probably going to hit the tree or I'm going to fall. However, the second that I started focusing on the path that will lead me through, everything was a lot smoother. It wasn't easy, but it was definitely a lot easier. So going through everything right now, I guess it would just be, you can look at it one of two ways. You can see everything going on as the obstacle and something that's going to stop you or prevent you or make you quit altogether, or you can focus on doing the work that will lead you to where you want to get as things get back to as much as normal as possible.
I think that's absolutely fantastic advice and a wonderful metaphor as well. Do not hit the tree.
Don't hit the tree, they hurt.
Well, Mandy, thank you very much for joining us this week. Tori, thank you very much for your producing, editing, and supervising. We will be back next week with a little bit of a twist. We're going to go away from the coaches and we're going to interview some players. In the meantime, please check out our skills competition. It's in all our social media outlets and in the newsletter. And until next week, a fantastic week, guys. See you later. Bye.